Hi, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining me. And I'm not going to keep you long. I know there's so many other things you can be doing right now, but you chose to be here, and I'll be sure to make it worthwhile. So it was in my heart to share this information because I get so many emails and messages. And these are just some concerns that I want to address with you today. So, what we're going to do is talk about the three obstacles that may be standing in your way for weight loss. Okay, so in case you don't know me, my name is Dr. Leona Allen, and I am founder of Freedom Health Systems. I am located in Stockbridge, Georgia. I've been in the natural health care profession for over 20 years. So I love what I do. I'm very passionate about what I do. So if I get real passionate, don't be surprised, especially when I get into topics that I know that I can really move and help and encourage women to get from where they are to where they want to be. A lot of you follow me or on my mailing list because you're dealing with health conditions. You're dealing with weight loss. You're dealing with diabetes. You're dealing with so many different things in your life. And we're going to discuss the obstacles. But first of all, let me tell you, who I'm talking to. And a lot of you are very intelligent. You're very strong. You're very caring. And I know you want more, not in just your life, but in the life of your family and your children, because so many of you are so intelligent. And I know that's why it's so frustrating to feel the way you're feeling. But I know, because I've been doing this for so long, I know you have questions. I know you're overwhelmed. I know you may feel stuck. And I know it's frustrating when your heart is in the right place and you do all these things and nothing happens. And it breaks my heart too, to see people in the same circle over and over again and not seeing any results. So my goal for today is to help you shift from where you are. And if you can just move out of that box a little bit, then we all won. All right. So first of all, we're going to begin with the end in mind. So just participate with me. And instead of focusing on your struggles, instead of focusing on the frustration, what I want you to do is take a minute to think about what you want with your health in your life. Get yourself in that place and think about, what does it feel like when I'm at my desired weight? If I had more energy, what would I do with that energy? What would it mean to me when I achieve those goals that I desire? Because I'm doing this because a lot of you, and not just specifically you, the hundreds of women and men that I've treated through the years, we get so stuck with the stuff, the diet, the things, the toys, okay? But what we need to do is let's focus on the goal. What do we want to achieve? And take a minute to reflect on that. What does health mean to you? Why do you want to get healthy? And how is that going to change your life? Let me know, because there's power in really sharing and experiencing this thing, because there is a method to my madness with this, okay? So please share in the chat what you want to achieve. Is it weight loss? Do you want to get off your meds? Do you just want to have more energy? Do you want to avoid surgery? Oh, what else? Do you want? Let me know. Let me know. And while you're doing that, I want to let you know that it doesn't just have to be a dream. It doesn't have to be a wish. It is possible, because I've been there. And I can imagine how you all feel. Here I am. I live and breathe this stuff. I've studied this stuff. I read the books. I go to the workshops. And I was confused, and I still managed to become pre-diabetic with liver and gallbladder disease. It happened to me. And this was over 10 years ago. And I was practicing at the time, and it was embarrassing because people would come to my office with their help. And I'm like, I can't even figure it out for myself. So it had to happen with me first. And now I'm happy it happened, because now I can use that energy and that experience to help others. And I'm glad it happened, because I don't think I would be as effective if it didn't. So I know what it takes. And I ate well. I ate better than most. I took my supplements. I was active. I was an athlete in high school, and it still happened to me. So I can understand your frustration, because one of the things I get a lot from women and men is, I tried everything, but for some reason, like I see in the chat, I can't get consistent. I had this yo-yo diet, and I'm gonna go into some of these things because I know I talked about the three things that are obstacles, and it's really not the diet, it's not the exercise. It's kind of those things that we overlook and want to avoid that is really keeping us from the health that we desire. Yeah, some of us are dealing with chronic conditions. Exactly. We want to eat better. There's so many things. But first, when I talk about these obstacles, I really want you to internalize this and reflect on it and tell me what you think and how you've experienced these things. Okay. So just know that sometimes it starts with the right step. Some of us have taken many steps, but it wasn't the right step at the right time, or maybe you took a step in the wrong direction. So my goal is to give you clarity and direction so you're not going in this yo-yo cycle or this hamster wheel for many more years. Okay. So the thing is that there are obstacles. Some of us we're aware of. We know that it may be our chronic diseases and our habits, but some of the most dangerous obstacles are the ones that we don't see and the ones that we don't understand. All right. So let's go ahead and jump into obstacle number one. So I hope you have some pen and paper so you can write this down. Obstacle number one is you are overwhelmed. Raise your hand if this is overwhelming. I'm overwhelmed and I do. Okay, I get it. I'm overwhelmed in a good way because I have to deal with what you guys are learning and make it make sense to you guys. So I get it. So I can imagine how you feel. But there is no shortage of health. Let me put quotes, advice out there. I was born in the 70s, so I'll give you an idea how old I am. And, my generation, it was before cell phones, was before Instagram, was before Google. If we wanted to learn something, we had to go to the library. All right. And I know some of you can relate. So we still had to hunt for the information, but now it's right at our fingertips. And unfortunately, some of the wrong information is at our fingertips as well. So it's really overwhelming us. And not only that, there's a lot of self-proclaimed experts out there. So we got to understand not only the overwhelming of information, but we got to know who we're getting it from because we're in a state of bots, AI, and this is another reason why I wanted to do this because it's getting so bad that we don't know what's real and what's not. So I wanted to spend some time with you this evening and let you know, look, I'm real. I'm a human and I want to share real information. And if you get anything out this, you'll be able to tell real from fake because it's getting harder and harder to tell these days. Who agrees with that? Oh my goodness. So being overwhelmed is obstacle number one. And, we got quick fixes out there. We got fad diets. And a lot of these programs that are out there do more harm than good. And just know that there's a lot going on out there with false promises and they can be dangerous. And my goal tonight is to, what it takes to really help sift through this information and just quiet that noise that is going on out there in that world because we are so distracted by what's out there. And these are types of things that we didn't have 10, 15 years ago. So I just want you to know I get it. And just know I've been through what many of you been through. I've had my own health challenges. And the reason why I want to share with you is because I have the advantage of not only working with my own self personally, but clinically with hundreds of men and women from cancer to diabetes, to avoiding surgeries, to getting off their medications, high blood pressure. I had a client celebrate this week that she's been on her blood pressure meds for over a decade and she's off all her meds. I've had diabetics get off their insulin with these principles. So, doctors have told you you're going to be on these meds for the rest of your life. All right. And it's not true. Not saying get off your meds. There's a strategy to that. But I just want to let you know what is possible. And sometimes we don't know to go for it if we don't know it's possible. So just know that I'm not coming from a place of lack of experience. So let me tell you what my superpower is and what I focus on. And what it's really about is not the pill or the thing or that magic protein powder that's going to help you get better. It's about creating systems. We need effective systems that work in not just our health, but in our life. So the overwhelm for a lot of us is which system is going to work for me. Am I low carb, high carb, plant based? You get the point? Do I exercise? Do I do aerobics? Do I do weight training? These are all part of the systems, and find out what works for you, what works for Atasha, what works for Cheryl, what works for Gordon, what works for Julie. We're all unique. And there's a lot of things that work that work generally, but there's a lot of specific things that might just work for you. And you got to understand your past and where you come from. And I'm saying this because I get so many emails and I don't even know the person. And they're like, what do I do for my high blood pressure? I don't know who you are. I don't know how you got high blood pressure in the first place because there's many reasons. It could be dehydration. It could be kidney issues. It could be toxicity. It could be food allergies. There's so many things. And if you don't know the root cause and how your heart works or how blood pressure works, it's really hard to find the solution. So that's where a lot of the overwhelm comes from. That's where a lot of the challenge comes from because nobody is talking about that. They want to give you a magic potion and hope that everything's going to be okay, but no one's understanding the systems. There's systems that make you sick and there's systems that get you well. So we need to understand that. So as we quiet the noise and get more clarity, we have to know what's true and what's not. Because one thing I like to say is it's the truth that heals and it's the lies that kill. All right. So once you understand the fact between fiction, real between false, then that's where a lot of the healing comes from. So, that's, part of the challenge. And other things that I get from you is I've tried it all. I've done everything, but I still don't feel well. And you're going to understand why by the end of this time we have together. Okay. And also I want you to note is we're all here for a different reason. I saw in the chat for the different reasons of why you want to get healthy and the challenges you faced. But just know this, you can't rely on the systems and the mindset that got you sick. All right. It's like I had a client the other day and I told her she needed to drink more water. And she's struggling with it because she wants the water to taste good and sweet. So see how she has that mindset that she wants something sweet and still get her water intake? That's that same mindset. That's what I'm referring to. So some of us want to get well, but don't want to give up the treats. We don't want to get up and do the things that are difficult. We don't want to get up and do the things that we refuse to do. Just realize sometimes when you're getting healthy, you got to do the things that are good for your health, not just helps you feel warm and fuzzy inside. Okay. So really understand that. And also, before I go to obstacle number 2, another key thing that I want you all to understand is we need to stop expecting big changes to happen with very little effort. We just want to sit back and just let some magic pill or vitamin fix all our problems. And that's another thing I see happening a lot in today's programs is that magic pill or potion or lotion that promises that everything will go away. So we can't expect small things to make big changes. Small things can happen over time, okay? Consistent changes. But what I'm referring to is low effort. You can't expect big changes with very low effort. Everyone got me? Everyone with me so far? All right. So that is obstacle number 1. Obstacle number 2. Okay. I told you it's not going to be what you think, but I'm glad you're here with me. You're trying to figure it out by yourself. All right. So some of you don't realize you're lost. You're in this maze and you're walking around looking for the next shiny toy. And you're like, oh, I'm going to try that. Oh, that looks good. Oh, let me try that too. It's like you're just kind of just out there blowing in the wind and you're moving in whatever direction the wind follows you in. Okay. And that could be very dangerous, especially when you don't realize that you are just floating in the wind. And this is a hard one to take because I get it. I'm skeptical by nature. And I know it's kind of hard to trust you. You want to figure it out and just have all the control. Now I'm just talking about the concept that we don't realize how long it takes when you're lost or you don't realize you're lost. You're in this maze and you're out there with no map and no strategy. And you're just hoping you're just going to land into that solution and you think you found it and it turns out that it's not the answer. And I kind of joke around about this, but we find that magic solution overnight or we just run into it. And I like to tell people, let's save that for the Disney movies, okay? I think society has got us in trouble with that because it puts us in this fantasy world that is going to be some magical thing that happens and we're going to just wake up one day and we're not going to crave sweets. We're not going to no longer need our medications. We're just going to, we didn't get sick overnight, so you can't expect to lose the weight overnight. So I just want you to understand that this is so important that you got to be honest with yourself and realize where you are in this journey. Okay. Because there's people out there, they're kind of on the path. There's people out there that are completely lost. And there's people out there that don't even know they're lost and they're just happy. They say ignorance is bliss. But because you're here, I know you're in this place like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be here. You're kind of here and you're just looking around and you're like, I don't know. So hopefully this will give you some clarity and help you understand. But I'm going to blame society on this because we get so many commercials and TV shows and we see these women with these bodies, these perfect bodies, but we don't understand that we're looking at a world that's airbrushed. Now we got AI to deal with. So a lot of this stuff we see isn't real. All right. Let's be real. Look, me, no makeup. Okay. Real. Okay. So sometimes it's like everything is filtered now. So when I talk about you're doing it alone, it's just like we got to realize, are we living in a reality? Are we trying to glorify our health issues? We got to get real and honest with where we are and just realize we may be in danger right now. And you can't take this lightly. So you could probably see that I take this very seriously. And it just hurts me sometimes when people don't decide to take action on their lives or they try to figure out on their own or they're using the wrong information. So I do blame society on that. And we live in this microwave society where we want everything quick. And we got to also realize that our bodies are real. Our bodies are so complex. It's pumping blood every day. We're breathing. We're digesting our foods. And we are counting on artificial supplements and artificial foods and artificial medications to fix that. So why do we have this mindset that we can use these unnatural things to repair a natural body? So I want you to think about that because that's where a lot of us are lost. And that's where a lot of us are trying to figure out alone. And we tend to look for the same things, the next medication, the next supplement. It's like the same thing, just a different form of it and a different name, maybe a different brand, a different company. And a lot of that is marketed on our TVs and on the internet. Okay. So I want you to just stop wandering around and start to get clear on the direction you need to go in and just not be afraid of someone grabbing your hand and be like, no, 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 that's not the way. It's this way. All right. So sometimes we do need that guide and we can't figure out alone. And that's where it leads to that overwhelm because we're going on Google and all these other resources to try to figure it out. But if you don't have that foundation of what health is and what it looks like, it's very difficult and you'll continue in that maze. Obstacle number 3, and this is the one I deal with the most, believe it or not. You have doubts. You may not have any trust. You may have some doubts. You may have some fears, and you may have some frustrations that are holding you back. And it's like we rather sit in our health problems then continue to try. I know a lot of times, whether we know it or not, sometimes our doubts and our lack of faith is what keeps us stuck. It's like we know we should do something, but we're afraid to do it because we have that fear of failure. We have that fear of not doing the right things. So, and especially if you tried things in the past and you've been burned in the past, and then you end up stuck. Okay. So that's one thing, because I've been doing this and coaching clients for a very long time. And sometimes, we want the diets, we want the cleanse, we want that information. But it's not the program that really causes people to fail, it's their lack of action. And that number one thing that prevents people from taking action is their lack of priorities, their doubt, and their fear, especially the fear of failure, because many of you have failed already in the past and you just automatically think, oh, the next thing isn't going to work. So a lot of times, these are the types of things that I found in my career that have not only kept people from being successful in their health and weight loss journey, but from even starting. Okay. Because we're taught so many things. You got one doctor saying you do this, and here is Dr. Leona saying a whole different thing, and you're kind of stuck. Like, who do I believe? But it all starts with, okay, what does your heart tell you? Just like the sun will come up and down every day, your body responds to certain things. If you eat toxic food, you're going to get sick. That's nature. So stop looking for toxic solutions to get well. Okay. If you have a hard time with consistency, okay, you know what lack of consistency will get you. So what'll happen if you don't change that? You won't get well. So what prevents us from changing is our doubts, our overwhelm. We just don't know what to do. We feel lost. So my goal is to kind of break that cycle. If I do anything today, is to break that cycle. So now you're not repeating the same thing over and over again and expecting the same results. So I've never seen anyone succeed by giving up. But what has prevented you from moving forward? Share. Based on what I said, what are some of the fears and doubts that have kept you stuck? Because sometimes we want to say it's the health condition, it's the medication, but sometimes it's our lack of action and our lack of priority. Because another thing that I understand is many of us work full time. And even if you're retired, you're taking care of families, you have a lot on your plate and you put a lot of energy in those things. And you hope in 5-10 minutes a day, you can resolve your health. But I want you to understand that I come from a place where it does take time. It does take mindset shifts. It does require systems to move your health forward. And that is really the biggest message that I want to share with you. So those are like really the 3 obstacles. And I want to have a conversation with y'all and tell me what's going on in your mind, what you've been overwhelmed with. Let me know what you're dealing with so I can help you break that, and where you feel lost or you feel like you don't have any support and any doubts you've had.